All
Wow.
right.
We are recording. We are broadcasting. We are live.
We are live for episode 27 of the Georgie and Patty Show. I'm Georgie.
Oh, I'm
You're,
Patty.
you're Patty. And it's Friday. Welcome to Friday.
Welcome, Friday.
Welcome to Friday. Today we're going to be talking about client happiness. Making clients happy. Is it possible to make clients happy? How do we make clients happy? All of that good stuff. So we are happy that you're all here with us on this beautiful Friday morning. So to get us started, I will start with our quote of the day. So our quote of the day is, sometimes magic is just someone spending more time on something than anyone else might reasonably expect. And that is from Raymond Joseph Teller, the half of Penn and Teller. And I love this quote because A, I like magic. And often I think when we do spend time on the things we really love, which I think most of our people, right? We were talking about this yesterday a bit, really actually love their work. You know, they're committed to the work that they do and they do it because they love it. And often it can feel magical. Like I know I think that with the stuff that we do, I'm like, oh, this is just like magic. Like I'm just so excited to get up every day. It's like, oh, look at the magic that's happening. And really, if I were to break it down, is we spend a lot of time um, doing what we do because it's fun and it's working towards that mastery of the skills that we have and how can we help people better and how can I bring more value, how can I get better as a human being to be able to do this better. So while it sometimes can look and feel magical, I think a lot of that too is we're just putting a lot of time into this. So I love magic along with peanut butter and bananas and chocolate. So those things make me happy, but now maybe we'll get into how we can make our clients happy.
Would you like me to start the slides?
I would love for you to start the slides for this Friday
I
business
have
party. Get the party
slides.
started.
I have slides. Oh, look, there's Zoom making me happy by showing me the little green
Yay!
box around my slide deck, so I know that I'm sharing the right screen.
Nice. And good morning, Facebook, too. Sometimes I don't give you the love that you deserve.
Or not.
I mean, our watchers, the people watching on Facebook. Sometimes I
Exactly.
don't give them.
Direct the love appropriately.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Excellent. So this is our topic for the day. I don't know if you can hear it. There's a cement truck right outside my window right now. That's what the background noise is. Can you? Is it annoying, Georgie?
It's not
Can you hear
annoying
that?
to me. I can hear it, but it's not annoying. It's like
Okay.
background music.
It's like background music. Yes, that is not making me happy right now. Sorry.
Perception. It's all about perception.
All
That's
right.
all.
Our topic of the day: making clients happy. Um, in case you need a reason. Anytime I talk to any business owner that has been in business for any appreciable length of time, and I ask them, what's working for you in marketing, they always say things like referrals, word of mouth, and repeat clients. That is the basis of a successful business that's in it for the long term. Kind of like our interview yesterday when we were talking with Terrell, and he was talking about having this large canvas, looking ahead a number of years, not just working for immediate gratification, but what are you building long term? When you think about your business long term, one of the best measurements that you could have in terms of creating something that's going to succeed and that is going to do really well is the happiness of your clients, how they feel about what it is that you're delivering. Are you getting the recommendations? I think these are some ways to tell that you're making people happy. By the way, three ways to tell that you're making people happy. One is they buy again from you. You get repeat business. They get to the end of their program and they say, hey, can we re-up and do this again? Or what else do you have to offer? They come back after a few years and it's like, hey, So you get repeat business from them. You get spontaneous referrals. They send business in your direction without you asking them to. It just shows up. Oh, so and so recommended you. You get spontaneous testimonials. People offer to give you a testimonial, or they write up a testimonial and they send it to you, or they send you happy emails, that sort of thing. Those are 3 really good signs that you're doing things well. And if you're just starting out, this is kind of what you're wanting to optimize your business for. It's like, okay, am I making people happy? Not only does this help in terms of like recommendations and reviews and people giving you 5 stars and saying that you're great on LinkedIn and writing testimonials for you, it also helps with your own confidence in terms of your sales and marketing. When you know that your clients are happy, you feel better about offering your services. You feel more confident talking about what you do, because you know that you are making a difference. So this is kind of the reason behind why you want to make your clients happy. It's the basis of a really solid business.
Exactly. And how we can do that is really by caring about people, right? We often, we talked about this a bit in kind of the languaging call that we did, is when we look at our clients as human beings, they're human beings across from us, and we want to care about those people, and we want to spend a little more time knowing, how can I understand them? What is it that they really want? How can I be of service to these people? That really, really goes a long way with creating happy clients, and recognizing that as humans, we're all individuals. So really taking the time to understand, how can I communicate with them? How do I talk to them? What is it that they need? And how can I get them from where they are to where they want to be, in a way that's going to work for me and how I do it, and for them, which really comes down, I think, to when you can look at someone as a human and assess them as a human and recognize that we're all human beings. It makes getting these recommendations and keeping our clients a lot happy easier. And we also want to show up for their best interests, and there's lots of pieces for how we do that as well, but kind of keeping that in the back of our mind, that we are there for them.
Great.
And the permission slip. So for today, your permission slip is that it's okay to bring love and care into your business. Love is not a dirty word in business, depending on how you use it. But it's quite okay to actually care about your clients, care about the people who are in your business. I think often sometimes we believe, or we've been taught, or we think we have to have this really stoic professional exterior, and you don't have to. It's totally okay to care about people and love people and bring that empathy and compassion into your business. And I think we all do that in different ways. So the other piece of this is to do it in the way that works for you, right? Where I may be someone that's like, oh my God, I love you. I love this guy so much. He is amazing. That might be my way of doing it, because that's just how I show up. That might not work for you. Might be a little more subdued, a little more quiet about it, a little bit. Your way of showing care may not be, I love you, like it is for me. And I think that's totally okay too, right? It's to bring it in the way that works for you, in your way. And it's quite okay to care about people.
Yeah, and I think this also goes to this idea, like you're saying, about what we're advised. And this is often a lot of advice around what professional looks like. And this sometimes, I think that this creates a barrier that isn't necessary in terms of how we show up for our clients. That sometimes when we try to maintain that kind of professionalism, it creates this distance and coldness in some ways. And it's if you're having to work so hard at that and to kind of hold back, like, are you being authentic? Right? Like, it's like, how do you do this in a way that's authentic to you? And, you know, a lot of this advice to be professional and to maintain distance and never be friends with your clients. Like you hear this kind of advice. It's like, we're like, forget that. Like I am absolutely incapable of not being friendly with my clients. I lose track of what that line is all the time. It's like, are they clients or are they friends? You know, it's like, because they feel a little bit like both, and the calls feel friendly, and the atmosphere feels friendly, and it's just, that's kind of how I'm showing up, and I find it very difficult to try to separate that, so I don't. That's my experience. Once again, permission always to do things in the way that works for you. But if you happen to be one of those people who are like, wow, I actually want to bring more care into my business, I want to be more expressive with my clients, and you know, build a closer relationship in some ways, it's like, go for it. if it fits.
Exactly.
um, this is a line that I learned. Alan Weiss, you'll have heard me recommend his book $1 Million Consulting, and he's been quite an influence for me. um, he rubs me the wrong way in some ways. However, I think he has some very, very sage advice for a lot of things. And this is one of the takeaways I've gotten from him, is this constant reminder, and he says this over and over and over and over again, is that the role of a consultant is to improve the client's condition. And this is to me, this is a cornerstone of my work. It's kind of like, can I help this person? That starts right in the beginning when I'm having a conversation before we ever work together. Like, that's the question I'm asking. Can I help this person? Can I help improve their condition? This also gives me a perspective. My perspective in my work with my clients is always to put myself, my advice, my help, um, to direct that towards their business and what they're doing. And what this often means is that I'm being forthright and honest in my feedback, and to the point where sometimes there can be a little bit of an altercation, um, a discussion of differences of opinion, because I'm feeling strongly about my role is to help them improve their condition. And if they are not seeing something that they need to see, not paying attention to something that needs to be paid attention to, or overlooking the happiness of their clients. So I'm often giving advice and feedback, reminding my clients that they should be paying attention to their clients rather than just doing what makes my client happy in the moment. Um, and I always come back to this line in those times, because there are times when I'm in a client session where there's a voice in the back of my head that's saying, wow, Patty, it would just be so much easier to go along, to get along here, and just to tell them what they want to hear. And instead, I'm telling them what they need to hear, kind of a thing. So that this is my perspective. This is part of how I ultimately make my clients happy, is by sometimes, it's not always happy, feel good, yes, this is awesome kind of affirmation, kind of feedback. I don't see my role that way. And I know if you're a coach, you might see it differently. I always look at myself as a consultant first, and a coach second, and consultants do give opinions and advice, and that's kind of the line. Um, so it depends on how you approach your work and how you see yourself and what feels good to you. But from a consultant's perspective, in terms of helping people and providing advice, I'm always mindful of, am I helping to improve their condition? And I do not help them improve their condition by holding back feedback and saying, you know what, we can make this a little better, or you know what, I don't think it's going to work that way. Let's let's look at this. Let's pay attention to that. So this is one of the things that I do, is keep that in mind, because ultimately is this is when you make a difference for people, is when you actually focus on, that's what the work is. And sometimes this means, as Alan Weiss will point out, sometimes it means that they don't have to necessarily like you in that moment.
I think as we do these things too, I think it is part of our role as coach consultant, and when we are helping people, especially have transformations and move from a place where they are that really has been quite comfortable for a very long time, and we're moving to a new place or somewhere we want to go. Um, Along that path, often we need to have these hard conversations, or these conversations that can be a little more difficult or a little more challenging, because we know as professionals those conversations need to be had so that they can get what they want. And I think we can help with those conversations by being really aware and knowing that these conversations are more than likely coming. So how do we from the beginning start to set up environments where we can have really open communication and dialogue with our clients? How do we sort of kind of step into their shoes, see things from their perspectives? How do we set ourselves up before we even go into our sessions so that we can come into that space being kind of really grounded and centered and prepared, so that we don't get reactive and triggered when we're having these conversations? Because we know, especially if it's something that's kind of a big deal, and we can probably think when we felt pretty attached to an idea or jumped on a soapbox or something, and someone's in front of us saying, that's not going to get you what you want. So being able to, how we show up and prepare for those conversations can often make those conversations easier to have, and allowing that space and knowing that the conversations are necessary. We don't want to back away from them. So how can, as the coach or consultant, how can we prepare to show up best for that and still have the conversation, because we're keeping in mind that we are here for their best interest. They have hired us to help them get wherever it is that they want to go. And this is part of the role that we play. So often, especially if some people call it the pleaser space, if you're used to pleasing people and you don't want people to not like you and feel bad, this can be a difficult space to be in. So it's becoming really aware of that, and then taking responsibility for yourself, doing what you need to do to set yourself up to have those difficult conversations. Because often it's through those difficult conversations that people will get the breakthrough, they'll get what they want, which then it's like, oh, you're the best coach ever. I'm going to tell everybody about you. Because you were willing to step up when they really needed you in the way that was going to help them the most. So not often easy and necessary.
And just to kind of drop a hint, Georgie's going to be talking more about this next week.
How to do that? Yes. Yes.
So part of this idea of happy clients starts with, like, right in the very beginning. Like, I look at it as like it starts right at the very beginning, and setting expectations about what the work together is going to look like, what you're going to do, what they're going to do, making things really clear, spelling things out so that that both parties are walking in knowing what it is that they're getting into and how it's going to work. And that can head off disappointments caused by a lack of understanding. So, I mean, this can be spelling out things like how long you take to respond to messages, and best ways to reach people, and what to expect during sessions, and how to book things, and how to change like if you have policies around cancellations and things like that, is to have that stuff spelled out. And when you do this, it creates a really strong container for the work, and the client feels taken care of. I know when Georgie and I work together with our clients, we do a role play with people, walking through the sales process. And during the role play, I play the role of the client. And this is one of the things that I've learned through this experience of being in all of these assessment sales conversations, is that when it comes to the time when they're making the offer and they're explaining how things work, it's when they have a very clear process and they're like, here's what we're going to do. This is how it's going to work. This is what happens next. This is how our work together will unfold. I feel like they are professional, that they're going to take care of me. And there's like this release of kind of stress or anxiety that happens. It's like, okay, like I can buy into this service and this person knows what they're doing, right? And it's like having that stuff clearly laid out, and letting the person know how things are going to work right from the beginning is awesome. From this client perspective, there's an element that somebody's in charge and it's not me, which is a nice place to be. Like for this kind of thing, this is what, it's part of why people are hiring you, is to help them get the result that they're wanting to get. So it helps if you show up as the person that's going to lead them there. It's a leadership in a way. So there's that. And then this is kind of like the Captain Obvious thing about making clients happy, is to deliver what you said you would deliver, to do the work that you agreed to do, to help them get the results that you talked about. And this is part of that clarifying the expectations. What does that look like? What are you able to promise? And this is absolutely a fine line. It's, Georgie and I help our clients get clients. That is what our work is about. And we can't put them in a box and ship them to someone. It's like we cannot deliver the stuff directly. There's a limit to what we are capable of delivering ourselves, and it has to be in agreement with the client. And for anybody who's in a transformational business, you know exactly what this is. You know this place. The number of times I've had coaches say, I can't guarantee anything because the client has to do the work, right? So to be clear on the expectations of what that delivery looks like, and then to deliver that. See, and that's where the clarification comes in and the happiness comes in. You can talk about the kind of results and outcomes that you want, and when you have an agreement that's really clear about what you're promising to deliver, the stuff that's within your control. I mean, you can't deliver stuff that's not within your control. But when you've done that, and you have that agreement, deliver the stuff you said you deliver. And as I was putting this presentation together, I was just reminded of the fact that not everybody gets this. A few years ago, I bought one of those $2,000 online programs through you've probably experienced the webinar and the videos and the upsell and all of this stuff. And I was watching this webinar and I'm like, wow, this looks like a really good idea. I think this would be really helpful for where I'm at. I like how this person is putting their stuff forward, and the person involved, and I will not name names, is very successful, sells a lot of stuff, kind of a household name in the circles that I run in. And I bought the program, and the core program sounded good, but what I was really after was a bonus program that was included with it, because I did that upsell with the added bonus thing. And what I really, it was a bonus, and they say this is a marketing technique those guys use, is to make the bonus more valuable than the course that you're delivering. And I'm like, yeah, I could see that, because I really wanted the bonus. And so I pay for the course, I order the course, I get the access into the online stuff, and I find the course, and I'm like, where's the bonus? And it's one of those drip courses, and I'm like, okay, maybe after I sit through this for 8 weeks, I will get my bonus. And there was no bonus. The bonus did not show up, and I sent emails like, where is the bonus stuff? How do I get it? And my emails were not answered. By the way, that's a shitty way to do your customer service. Then one day, ding, 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 get the doorbell. We answer the door, and there's this box. It's kind of not quite that large box, it's a smaller box. But dude shows up at the door of the box, and I look at the address, and it's like, oh, it's this guy that I ordered the program from. And I open up the box, and it's got cookies. He sent me a box of cookies. And I'm like, for a fleeting moment, I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. And then immediately, I'm pissed. It's like, where's my freaking bonus? It's like, it was just this cookie that's supposed to be a warm reminder about how much I enjoyed the program, which was shit, by the way. It was terrible. I got lots of value out of the marketing webinar, and the program was the biggest piece of crap I'd ever experienced. And then I'm expecting the bonus. I was hoping the box was a bonus, and no, sadly, the box was cookies. They were delicious. However, they did not have the intended effect. And in fact, they actually reminded me that I was not happy. So this is a point that I think a lot of people miss, is we get kind of like this checklist of things that you're supposed to do. Um, and one of them might be, oh, send your customers a gift. Like, that's going to make them feel good about you. And that may be very true if you're actually delivering on the service. But in this case, they missed the primary objective. Deliver what you promised you'd deliver. Send a high quality product. I would have been way more impressed if I got my bonus, and that the product had some quality to it. But all of the quality went into the marketing. The marketing webinar was beautiful. The delivery class was terrible. It was hacked together pieces of programs that didn't fit together. They'd done zero thought into, here's a bunch of shit that we can sell. Like, that was basically the whole thing, right? So are you going to get a glowing review for this thing from me? No. I tell you to stay away. So another thing that you can do in terms of client happiness is to help them track their progress. How are they doing? We had a question in the chat the other day about doing the assessment more than once with clients, doing the assessment at the beginning, doing the assessment again at the end. Transformational work sometimes isn't immediately evident. So it can be helpful to find a way within how you deliver the program to track progress. How are people doing? We talked about goals the other day being associated with the activities that we do, the things that are within our control, and not the outside results. Is there a way that you can track that, track the progress that people are making so that they can see that they're getting somewhere? This is something that it feels good to at least see some tracking on a chart, or with some numbers, or noticing how much clients are doing better, that sort of thing. Reminding them of their success, not just the problems and the things that they're working on. This is a big piece of what we believe in, is big or small, we celebrate them all. It's like, what does that progress look like, right? When we're trying to change, when we're trying to implement new things, learn new things, it can feel like a bit of a slog with a lot of setbacks. It's not easy work that we do, and having a way to measure that progress can be happiness inducing. And likewise, having a way to measure your own progress, or how things are doing for you. Check in with your clients and ask for feedback. Ask them how they're doing. Ask them about, especially if they're not actually saying anything to you, like, just kind of check in. It's like, is there anything I can be doing to make this better for you? How is it going? And I even suggest that in terms of asking for testimonials, especially if you're uncertain about how people are responding. If they're sending you a lot of happy notes and you're getting a lot of feedback, you're pretty safe to say, hey, can you give me a testimonial, right? But if they're a little bit quiet and they haven't really said anything, better off to ask if you can get some feedback rather than a testimonial. And that gives them an opportunity to let you know if there's things that you could be doing better. And can also provide some space to get feedback too, because or to get testimonials as well. It's kind of like, okay, here are some things that could be better. And sometimes they're just quiet because they're quiet, and they'll be like, oh, it's amazing, I wouldn't change a thing. And other times they say, oh, well, I found this difficult, or I would have appreciated this thing being different, that kind of a thing, as well as, but this part was great and I got a lot out of it. Like, you can get the positive stuff as well. This really came home to me at one point when I was in a program and I wasn't happy with it. Like, overall, I was not happy with how it was delivered or what it was about. And I was asked for a testimonial and I was really put off. I'm kind of like, yeah, there was some good stuff about this and I wouldn't mind sharing it, but if you're not open to hearing about what I was not happy about, I'm not saying anything. You're not getting a testimonial from me, even though I'm partially happy, because you're not asking me about what can make it better. And when you get this feedback, constructive feedback about how things can change, you may change how you do your service, or you may change how you set the expectations. It's like, this is um, for example, um, I am not the fastest email responder person. I do not. Some people are like, I respond instantly, and they have a policy that they always respond to emails within like an hour or something like that. And I had a client say that it was weird not to hear a response back from me, like instantly. And I'm like, okay. So I could say, okay, either I'm going to respond to emails instantly, or I'm going to set expectations a little bit more clearly that say, yes, send me an email, and I do my best to respond within a day, but email gets away from me sometimes, and send another email if I haven't responded immediately, because my reality is I do deep work. So I don't have alerts on my phone, messages and stuff like that. It doesn't work for me. So instead of disappointing clients, I can say, hey, this is what you can expect. And then it's not surprising in a negative way, that kind of thing. So just because somebody makes a suggestion that you could do something better doesn't mean you have to take it on. You can just take on the feedback and go, okay, I see what's happening here. So to wrap this up, not my favorite human being, but still such a great quote. Your brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room. And how you treat your clients, the results that they've had, all of that kind of thing contributes to your brand. And basically, to kind of keep in mind that everything you do is marketing. Marketing is not this thing that you do at the beginning to tell people about what you're doing, you get them to buy it. Everything you do is marketing. It's all contributing to your brand and your reputation and your perception. So that concludes the presentation part.
I think it's such a good point. I think that's why we harp so much, or I harp so much, about being really clear about who you are, what your values are, what you stand for, what's the purpose of being here and in your business, because it's so true. Everything we do is marketing. We're making an impression all the time. So we're always representing, whether we realize it or not, our business, because we're, especially as solo entrepreneurs, service providers, transformational people, we are very, very personally connected to the services that we offer people. So how we show up and how we go about things is very much linked to our marketing. And I love what you said about, just because someone suggests something doesn't mean you have to do it. If it really doesn't work for you, it's like, yeah, answering emails on as soon as they come in, not going to happen. And it's creating that space, though, where the client can say, wow, I really expected you to answer me right away. And you can actually have the conversation. And then you realize, I just wasn't really clear in my expectation. So then again, it's about us taking ownership of how we're showing up, the things that work for us, and then communicating that to our clients. And it can be, because like I say, that could have gone crazy, really. Like often we take something so simple and it gets blown right up. Whereas when we're clear, and then also I think that ownership part on you, which is like, nope, it's not going to work. And how can I communicate that better to them? What's my part in this, where this got the communication broke down? So key.
Yeah, it's interesting too, because I'm like, first I'm like, that is not a reasonable expectation, right? And then there's like, okay, and if it's going to be a long time before I'm actually able to get back, because part of it is like, people ask me questions I need to think about, right? It's like, can you give me some feedback on this document? And I'm like, yes, I can. Can I do that like that? No, I got to think about it. So it's just, that was a conversation, and she's like, well, if you don't have to give me an answer right away, but if you let me know that you've received the message, that's helpful. And I'm like, okay, cool. And then, okay, now that's something I can take on, right? That it's like, yeah, got it. Haven't forgot. The number of times I send emails out to say, I haven't forgotten about you.
Totally.
just to keep the flow of communication. Yes, I received your note, and you will get a response. And it's not happening right now, but it's just that. Um, yeah, you don't have to do exactly what they say. And if people are saying something, like it's look at it for, where's the validity here?
Exactly.
How can
And
I do this better?
it's that recognition, right? That we're all individuals. Some people process information quickly. Some people need more time to think about it. It's really understanding the people in front of you and how you work. Because I think that's where some of these breakdowns happen. I'm like you. I'm very much an internal processor. So I like to think about things and mull them over. It takes me a bit to get the complete thought out often and that kind of stuff where oftentimes I'll be in discussions with someone and then they're like information's coming in and they're just flying and they're like, you're not saying anything, do you not like it? I'm like, no, I'm just actually still back on that comment you had about 4 comments ago and I'm working through that one. I just haven't caught up yet. Especially if if it's something I haven't necessarily thought about or it's a new concept or something, my brain just doesn't work that quickly. Like I really gotta, okay, hang on a minute, and so it's recognizing our different ways of communicating, ways of processing information, which can be kind of fun too. And we're like, these unique individuals that we call humans. How funny that we don't all see things through exactly the same lens. Interesting, isn't it? Like, who knew? Any questions, comments on clients, working with them, communication, how to make these things easier sometimes? I think always like say I'm going to dive more into this next week for sure on how we can communicate with people a little easier and more effectively. But yeah, I think it's sometimes things we don't think about, but things that we're faced with every single day is when we're working with our clients, especially ones that we might think are just challenging, and often we'd rather just be like get out. But what else could be going on there? What are we not seeing? Maybe how can we, make this work if we really want to? So
And it's also looking at it's like kind of like how can I make things easier for the clients? How can I make it better? And it's just kind of interesting that while we're doing this thing, my phone lit up with a text right before we got on this call, and I'm like, oh, this is actually relevant to this call, right? And it was a text from the drugstore telling me that they've submitted the renewal for my prescription. So I went in to pick up my prescription. I guess it would be a month ago now. And they're when I picked it up, they're like, would you like us, you've got refills on this, would you like us to set you up to do a refill every 30 days? And I'm like, that would be freaking awesome. Because I am the person who forgets that stuff and then I'll run out and then I'm like, crap, got to call the drugstore, right? So I got a text saying that they'd sent it in and they would text me again when it was ready. And I'm like, how awesome is that? They're making my life better. Like it's a little thing. And it's just like, but you can look at that as like, oh, sending texts to my clients is going to be annoying. But they asked if I wanted this service. And I'm like, yeah, I'd like that very much, which is cool. And it also means, I'm going to continue to get stuff there. Like now that I know that they do that, I'm like, cool. I continue to work with them because they do that. The car insurance place that I used to get my car insurance for used to send out a letter. Like you get the insurance reminder from the auto planner or whatever. They send out the letter a month before it expires. The P in Patty stands for procrastinator, and I'm like, oh, I got a month, no biggie, right? And I tend to just kind of set that aside and go and renew my insurance on the day it expires. That's me. But what this place did, they sent out a letter like 2 weeks before it expires, and they say if you bring it back and get it renewed at the same place, you get entered for a draw. And I was just the draw was cool, but what I really appreciated was that extra reminder. And then they'd phone me. They would say, your car insurance, come and bring it in, you can enter this draw. They thought it was about the draw, which I won, which was really cool. But for me, it was that they reminded me. And I went to that same place year after year after year. And it was just, I just love getting the reminders. Like, other people might find that annoying, but for me, it meant that my car insurance would be renewed before it officially expired, because I may or may not have had to renew it after it expired by getting someone else to drive me there.
So true. I used to have my insurance person brings it to my house, which I really like. Hey, Georgie, you haven't renewed yet. Oh, right. Do you need me to? Yeah, that'd be awesome. Right? So great. Not now, I guess, with COVID, but yeah, you know.
That's awesome. That's even better than reminders and letters, right?
Yeah, exactly. I love it.
Yeah,
saves me time, right? Because as someone that's busy, it's like, ooh, this really makes my life easier. Like, love it. Amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, good comment in the chat right now, right? Like, our clients love it when we send them reminders that their first aid certificates are coming up for renewal. Oh yeah, no kidding. This comes back to this idea of, you know, we're playing this teeny tiny little role in someone else's movie. It's like, we don't want the certificate to expire, especially if it gets you in trouble with WorkSafe BC or licensing or something. Like, we don't want that to expire. And at the same time, it is not our primary role in our business to make sure that that doesn't happen. It's something that's really easy to forget if you don't get a reminder, right? And if somebody's in charge of that for the organization, to make sure that their first aid certified people are still first aid certified, like, that's a tremendous value to your clients, to remind them of that. And it's also a marketing opportunity.
Well, and it's such a huge actual trust builder too, you know, because imagine it's like, if I know, I don't have to keep that in my brain. I can let that go, because I really trust that my person that does our first aid for us, she's so great. She takes care of us. I feel cared for. I feel important, and I can free that space up in my brain to do other things. So it really goes a long way to build the trust and the loyalty, because it makes it, you know, harder to want to change if I'm like, yeah, but I don't have to worry about that. That's a big deal, and she's got my back.
Yeah.
So sometimes these little things that we think, oh, you know, it's maybe not that big of a deal, sometimes can go a long way in building, like, the know, like, and trust that we talk about. Like, that's a big trust builder for people, especially when it's critical that they don't forget. You know, and it's one of those things that opens up conversations too, right? When would you like your reminders? We can do the, you know, like, how do you like to get things done? What's going to make this easier for you? What's going to make this feel better? We send out reminders, and how can I do this so it really works for you? Like, opens up conversations to get to know your people better. Yeah. You know, again, and build those almost intangible things that keep our clients happy and keep them with us for longer. You know, yeah. Let's see. What is your view on email response times? Most regular jobs I've been in stress that emails should be responded to within 24 to 48 hours. Sometimes that has been difficult, especially when someone asks a complicated question, often called by the sender as just a quick question. Yeah. Do we need to be sure to respond in 24 to 48 hours, even if it's just to say it's going to take me longer to respond?
Yeah, this is kind of, you know, exactly the situation that I had, right? Yeah, 24 to 48 hours is actually a nice window of time. That's what I would think would be a reasonable response for an email. Personally, that's what I think would be a reasonable response. Some people are like, they're expecting within an hour or within 2 hours, because some service providers are doing that, and some coaches and consultants are saying do that. You know, respond quickly, be the first person to respond, that kind of a thing, and that is valid, right? Because we put we put out a question, and when do we want the answer? We want the answer right now. And this is especially valid in terms of your sales and marketing. The moment somebody contacts you is a moment that they are at the peak of their interest in what you do. Taking a long time to get back to them is not a great idea. Um, uh, on my contact form on my website, I have an autoresponder set. So when they ask, when they contact me, they get an auto response instantly that says that that I have their message and that I will get back to them really soon. But if they want to set up an appointment, go right ahead and book on my calendar. It's kind of like, so I got technology, my trusty robot sends out an email, and it's signed from my trusty robot. I don't pretend that it's me, because that sets unreasonable expectations. So instead, the line on it says, sent by Patty's trusty robot, so that so that they know that it's not for me. And then if they don't set an appointment on my calendar, then I respond to them as quickly as I can. But you can set up the expectations for that, right? If you respond to emails within 2 hours, and you can tell them, hey, I respond within 2 hours. And if you don't get a response in 2 hours, probably means the message didn't get to me, so try again. Or you can say, hey, you are welcome to email me, but it might take a day or two to get a response. If you don't hear from me in 3 days, email me again, because I may have forgotten it. That kind of thing. It's kind of like our clients. When we do our sessions with clients, we record them for their use, not for us, but for our clients. If they want a recording in the session, we'll record the session, and then we put it in a Dropbox for them afterwards. And I will often say to people really clearly, it's like, I'm going to send you this recording by the end of day today. If you don't get it, send me a note, because it probably means that I've forgotten it. It's just, I do my best to get the recording into the Dropbox, but I don't have a trusty robot to get it. I have my not so trusty brain to remember it. And it's just, things do fall through the cracks. So you get to a certain level of busyness and a certain amount of incoming. And it's like email. It's just like, we all get a lot of email. And it just kind of, it gets pressed down, and it's you see it and you don't get around to it. Like, I'm not the best at this stuff. I have a lot of strengths and a lot of skills managing email and incoming and tasks and stuff like that. I'm simply terrible at it. I do my best, and that's what I tell my clients. It's like, I do my best. But remind me, go right ahead. The other thing I say is reschedule at will. It's like, if you got the link with an appointment through my calendar system, go ahead and reschedule. Just go ahead. I'm cool with it. I can always use the extra time, right? It's about setting expectations. Like, there's no you should do it a certain way, or you have to do it a certain way. It's just, be clear on the expectations. And if you are bad at something, like I am with that kind of stuff, it's like, it's helpful just to let them know. It's like, hey, this is the truth.
Yeah. What robot software do you use? She's like, some robot responses can seem very impersonal, but for an initial quick response seems okay. And I think it is okay, especially if you say it's a robot.
And then that's just it. It's use a robot where you get to fill in what the auto response says. Like, most of the robots have a place. I don't even know if there is a robot that doesn't have a place, but it's like, there's a place for you to customize your message. And that's my, I send a friendly message back. It's like, hey, I'm so happy that you reached out to connect with me. I'd be delighted to talk to you. I'll send you an email when I get a chance, but here's the link to my calendar, like, let's talk. Like, I'd rather talk than do email. And it's like, yeah, and this is, I'll get back to you. And I think it says, it's like, this is Patty's trusty robot responding to the message. Just want to let you know that I have it. I'll contact you when I'm able to. But you can make your robot make it sound like you. There is a fellow named Derek Sivers. Used to run a company called CD Baby, and if you do a search for that, you can see he was kind of got a lot of publicity for his shipping notice that he put when they were selling CDs, and they had this notice about how they shipped the CD, and about how their people were wearing special gloves, and how they would gently cradle the CD in the packaging to put into the box and bless it with a kiss or something like that. So there's this whole kind of list. Instead of saying your order has been shipped, they had this beautiful email, right? My invoices that come from Acuity say that I've been marked down in the Book of Awesome or something like that. It's like everything you do is marketing. There's opportunities and all this boring kind of stuff. To add a little bit of personality to it. So yeah, it's about transparency, about communication, right?
Exactly. It's communication. And for I use Calendly for my bookings and those kinds of things. And
Yeah,
I don't know.
I use Acuity.
Yeah.
Just
And the
neither
same,
here nor there. They're both great.
And with your contact forms on your website, you can just set up, I think, autoresponders from within whatever thing you're using there.
Yeah, most of them have that capability, the capability to send an auto response through the contact form. But that's something you can get your web person to do if you're not able to do it yourself. But it's a good idea. It's just a really good idea when people fill out a contact form. Because sometimes, like, I know I feel this when I fill out a contact form, I'm like, are they really getting it? Is it going to go to their spam folder? How do I know? Like, it's kind of a weird thing to do. So I really like it when I get an auto response to say, yeah, got it.
Yeah.
I'm on it, kind of thing.
Here's a question. Hi, I'm getting calls from clients for career coaching, and many are asking if it's still worth it to job hunt in America while the economy is crashing. And the truth is, I think people need to prepare to stay in their jobs if they can. How do I talk with potential clients about this feeling I have? And also, I really don't know what's going to happen. I'm just feeling very conservative about what I think about the next year and job hunting. Mm-hmm. I think it goes back to this honesty and transparency thing, right? And sometimes you might be able to do both. You might say, yeah, we can look for career coaching. We can start to see what might be a better fit for you and start to see what's out there. And right now, here's what I'm feeling. Things are very uncertain. If you don't have a ton of cash stored up in your bank and you really need this job, my advice would be to kind of sit tight where you are if you feel like you have a secure job, and we can look at the same time, but I think it's about, and being honest. I don't know what's going to happen, and none of us know what's going to happen. And here's just what I'm thinking, here's kind of where I'm going. And I mean, ultimately it's their decision of what they want to do. But I think it is about being really transparent and honest from your perspective of what you believe. That would be my thought.
I would also suggest this can be a really great time for you to think through, what can I advise that feels relevant? What is still relevant? In this time of uncertainty, what is still relevant? What is some advice that I can give? What is some service and support that I can create in this time? So maybe it is about sitting tight rather than finding something new, but can it also be about positioning themselves in some way that makes it easier to find something new? Are there things that they can be doing in their current job right now that's setting them up? Documenting things that they're doing, getting feedback or making contacts or connections, or like, what is it that they can be doing, and what do you believe is true? And this is part of being responsive to kind of our current context and our current environment, and looking for the overlap, two-circle Venn diagram. What's going on in your clients' minds, what they're worried about, what they're asking about, what they're concerned about, where their fears and thoughts and all of that go, and your area of expertise. What's the overlap in there? What can you say for sure? What can you say and you'll stand on it? It's like, this is my soapbox. This thing I believe, this thing will be true in all environments, and it is true now. And then this is what I believe is true now. And then the rest of the stuff, yeah, you can be uncertain about it. And you can say, yeah, we're uncertain. However, in my experience, here are some areas that you can focus on. You can always develop skills. You can always
Exactly.
do research. You can always make connections. You can always network. It's like there's going to be some things that are always going to be true, and you can keep falling back on that. It's a kind of, in some ways, it's you can get clarity yourself of what you
Totally.
believe and where and what you stand for at that moment.
And updating the resume is a great thing because then it's current. Because then, should they lose their job, or things are looking like it's going that way, they're ready, they're prepared. How can I feel best prepared in this environment? And I love
Exactly.
that thing too. What skills might I need to work on for the job I'd really like to have, or for promotion in the company that I'm in? This might be a great time to really assess my strengths, my weaknesses, and where do I want to put some time to be able to move forward in the way I want to move forward. And I think being able to offer those services is kind of this career coach. It's looking at those things. Okay, here's where you are now, but maybe now's a really good time to stay put. And let's look at what's really important to you. Let's look at what the bigger picture is, where you want to go, and different things we could work on, and have that resume ready to go in the meantime. Like, such a great opportunity for clarity, both for your client and for you, and getting creative with how do I continue working in this environment in a way that's going to help my clients too, get them what they want. Like you say, what's going on in their mind?
Yeah, and you know what? It's kind of interesting. I was just having a conversation with somebody about this yesterday or the day before, about this idea that during this lockdown, some people are really dreading going back to normal because they're going back to a job that they don't like or they don't fit in, and they do want to make a change. And I think that the volume is going to be turned up on that desire for people. I think that there is an opportunity. See, we got a comment on chat right now. That's me. I think that this is a great opportunity to extend some support in that area in terms of helping people figure out what a better fit would be. Like, the research and the strategy and the ideas and all of that stuff could be a great time for doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that there's a need right now. Like, people are really looking for this. I think that's just so true for some people, is they have had that chance to reflect and they're like, oh crap, I really don't want to go back and do that. I am way happier here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And it's also a great opportunity to check in with past clients. How you doing? How are things for you right now?
Yeah.
What's going on? Just checking in, because it could be really relevant for them. It's an opportunity to reset many parts of our lives. Totally.
For everyone right now who is in this kind of transformational helping kind of a business, there's a strong need for what we do right now. People are so aware, um, like, that it's that kind of the inciting incident. I talk about this all the time in doing
Mm-hmm.
coaching. We make a decision to change because of some outside force usually, and it might be a milestone birthday, it might be losing a job, it might be getting divorced, it might be having kids, it might be having the kids leave, and it might be the situation that we're in right now that gives us that opportunity to reflect, and it incites or inspires a desire to change in some way. And like, this is your time. Your people need you.
Exactly. Oh my gosh. And I think I talk about this so often, and it literally is. This is your moment. Your moment is here.
Yeah.
Now you need to be talking about what you do. You need to be sharing what you do. You need to be being of value, because people are searching, and sometimes I'm not sure that they know what they're searching for, but they know they are looking for something. And this is your moment to be able to step in and provide services and opportunities for them in a way that's going to be healthy and helpful, so that they're not moving into these things that that are comfortable, that they know, such as, you know, the drinking and all those kinds of things, where they're looking and this is just my pattern because this is what I know and it's comfortable, and I don't know what else is out there. I don't know who to call. I don't know where to go. So this is really your moment to be able to step into that. Yeah, the world needs you. I am planning to make significant changes in my business as well. I don't want to go back to continue exactly as we left. This is definitely an opportunity to refocus, streamline, and change direction in some cases. Totally. I appreciate having this breathing space to look at everything that was on the back burner for the last few years, project I wanted to get out or get to, but never had the time. Totally. Yeah, it's such a good time. So as you're, for some people, yeah, it's a good time for that for some people. Yeah, for sure. For sure. 10:32, do you want to tell them what's on the agenda for next week?
Next week, we have stuff. We have stuff. You had to segue just a moment there for our guest speaker.
Yeah.
Here's what's on the agenda for next week. Monday, we're going to talk about finding and keeping your motivation. Motivation Monday. Tuesday, we're introducing a new feature called I Read It So You Don't Have To. We're going to take turns sharing our favorite books, what we got out of them, kind of the Cliff Notes version of it, as well as how we applied it and how it made a difference in our lives. So I'm going first, and I'm going to talk about the book that changed my life forever, and person I am eternally grateful to, which is Stephen Covey and the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Wednesday, George is going to talk more about this connection and communication and on how to understand people. And on Thursday, we have an awesome interview. You want to talk a little bit about the interview, Georgie?
Yeah, so our interview is with Dr. Katie Branter. She's a naturopathic doctor, and she works as a sober coach. So right now her services are greatly needed. So she helps people who are, you know, relapsing or struggling with really kind of any kind of addiction, things like that, while bringing in that perspective of her naturopathic doctoring. She is one of our clients, so we're very, very happy to be able to feature her as well. She has an incredible story. She has been through a lot, you know, some really big things, some really big loss. So we'll be able to talk to her about, you know, what those things were, how she overcame those things, and just her mission for how she's able to help people in the world today. But she's just tons of skills. I know you guys are going to love her because she is also a very incredibly inspiring human. So we're really, really happy to have her with us on Thursday, especially at this time, I think, you know. So if you do know anyone that's really struggling with being stuck and having some trouble right now, they might want to listen.
And then on Friday, we're going to talk about learning and about how to mine your life for learning and your experiences each week. And that's going to be that's our lineup for next week.
Thank you guys are so welcome. Thank you guys for being here. Like I say, without you guys here, this would not nearly be as much fun. So we love the comments, we love the interaction, we love that you show up. As always, if you have something you want us to cover, if you have a question, if there's a topic you'd like more information on or for us to go deeper on, you have suggestions, please do share them with us, because we want to make sure we're continuing to bring value and providing things that you want to hear. So have a fantastic weekend.
Have a great weekend. See you next week.
Same time, same bat time, same bat channel. I love that saying.
Right. Bye now.
Bye.